Hello friends and welcome to all of you to the yet another session on CA Final Direct Taxation, and in today's session we just talk about the income which do not form part of the total income. Means the income on which the assessee is not required to pay any taxes. So as I told, I'm just taking up first those chapters which are usually not pay attention by the students normally. So I will be covering those chapters first, which are very important from the exam perspective, from which you may not find any direct question, but it will come as a part of the question of any question in your CA final examination. So normally इन chapters में से आपको direct question नहीं मिलता है देखने के लिए normally, but ये important रहता है क्योंकि ये questions में किसी भी question में आपसे as an adjustment या उसका कोई part या कुछ भी ऐसा point तरीके से question में पूछा जा सकता है. So in our last session we just talk about the residential status and the income tax basics. So these chapters are also very important. So in today's session we just move forward and talk about the income which do not form part of your total income. So before going into this chapter and talk about what are the incomes which will in the income on which we will discuss. So first we need to understand the difference. What is the difference between exempt income and डिडक्शन अंडर चैप्टर 6A. सो एग्जेम्पशन में और डिडक्शन में क्या डिफरेंस होता है इसको समझना जरूरी है. सो एग्जेम्पशन इज बेसिकली एक सिंपल वर्ड्स में बताता हूं कि एग्जेम्पशन का मतलब होता है वो इनकम विच डू नॉट फॉर्म पार्ट ऑफ योर टोटल इनकम. मतलब ऐसी कोई इनकम जो कि एग्जेम्प्ट है, वो आपकी टोटल इनकम का ही पार्ट नहीं बनती, मतलब आपकी टोटल इनकम में ऐड नहीं होती. ठीक है. दूसरा डिडक्शंस का मतलब होता है कि जो है वो पहले आपकी टोटल इनकम का पार्ट बनते हैं. ठीक है. देन इट विल बी डिडक्टेड फ्रॉम योर टोटल इनकम, फ्रॉम योर ग्रॉस टोटल इनकम. ठीक है. तो सबसे पहले ग्रॉस टोटल इनकम निकाली जाती है, फिर उसके बाद वो डिडक्शन मिलती है आपको. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स से any SSC made a investment in any life insurance plan which is deductible under chapter 6A. तो पहले वो इनकम आपका पार्ट बनती है टोटल इनकम, फिर उसमें से वो डिडक्शन आपको मिलती है. सो डिडक्शन और एग्जेम्पशन में द बेसिक डिफरेंस इज दैट द एग्जेम्पशंस दे डू नॉट फॉर्म पार्ट ऑफ योर टोटल इनकम, but deductions they are first become the part of your total income, then it will be deducted from your gross total income. Okay. So now let's move forward and just talk about the income which do not form part of your total income. मतलब हम यहाँ पे सिर्फ exempt incomes को कंसिडर करेंगे इस चैप्टर में. और exempt incomes, there is a long list in exempt income chapter which is primarily driven by section 10. So section 10 में बहुत सारे इनकम्स को डिस्कस किया गया है, लेकिन हम इस सेशन में जो मेजर इनकम्स हैं दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट फ्रॉम एग्जाम पर्सपेक्टिव, वी विल कवर दोज एग्जेम्प्ट इनकम. तो उसके कुछ मेजर पॉइंट्स और मेन पॉइंट्स को हम लोग कंसिडर करेंगे आज के सेशन में. सो नाउ लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड एंड सी द फर्स्ट इनकम व्हिच इज द एग्रीकल्चर इनकम. So if you remember our last session, the income tax basics, so we just talk about that central government does not have power to levy taxes on the agricultural income. So income tax में कोई भी इनकम को टैक्स करने की पावर जो है वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को दी गई है, बट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट डज नॉट हैव द पावर टू लेवी टैक्सेस ऑन द एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम. Another important point that agriculture income may arise due to rent from the agricultural land or any farm building. ठीक है. Performance of any process ordinarily employed. ठीक है. Sale of agricultural produce. ठीक है. So these are basically called as the source of income in agriculture when we talk about the agricultural income, तो एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम जो आप एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस करते हो उसको बेचने से भी हो सकती है, ठीक है। कोई आपने फार्म में कोई बिल्डिंग है, बिल्डिंग से मतलब लाइक कोई भी आपने वेयर हाउस या समथिंग ऐसा है, वहां से अगर हमको इनकम मिल रहा है, दैट इनकम ऑल्सो कैटेगराइज एज द एग्रीकल्चर इनकम। There is one important point which needs to be remembered when we talk about the agricultural income, that agricultural income from the land, that land must be situated in India, ठीक है। If the land is situated in India and that land is used for the agricultural purpose, so when any income is derived from that land, then that income shall be categorized as agricultural income. But if that agricultural land is not situated in India, then that income from that agricultural land still it is an agricultural activity, but the land as it is not situated in India will not be called as the agricultural income. So a बहुत important point है that needs to be remembered. Ownership of land is not required in order to categorize income as the agricultural income. So ownership of land is not very important, ठीक है। Even if a land which is not owned by the agriculturist and that owner उसने सब लेट करता है, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल one land is taken up by the agriculturist, okay, one farm building which is taken up by the agriculturist for an example, and that building is sublet by that farmer or that agriculturist, still that income, even he is not the owner of that farm building, still that income shall be categorized as agricultural income. Agriculture comprises of both basic operation or the subsequent operation. Basic operation means the operation which is performed by the agriculturist, and the subsequent operation means the operation performed after the agricultural produce, for example weeding, digging, etc. Now let's move forward and just talk about a little bit more about agricultural income. The agricultural income, or I say income, which is derived from sapling or seedling grown in nursery would be deemed to be the agricultural income. We have a specific case law into this where the Honorable Court gave the judgment, say that income from the sapling and seeding grown in nursery would be deemed to be agricultural income. Now let's move forward and talk about a little more that the process which is ordinarily employed to render the produce fit for the market, like thrashing, winnowing, cleaning, etc. Then that ordinary process, that if any income is derived from that agriculture, the process, ordinary process, then that will also be called it as the agricultural income. ठीक है, condition क्या है? If the agricultural produce can be sold in raw form, then income derived therefrom is partly agriculture, partly business. Means अगर वो process से पहले, ठीक है, अगर आप उस agriculture produced को raw form में भी sold out कर सकते हो, then any income from that process or any income which is earned due to that process, like, so then that income shall be segregated between business income and the agricultural income. मतलब प्रोड्यूस को आप तभी एग्रीकल्चर इनकम में काम करोगे जब जो एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस है उस प्रोसेस से पहले रॉ फॉर्म में मार्केट में नहीं बिक सकता. सो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, दैट नीड्स टू बी रिमेंबर्ड. Now let's move forward and talk a little bit about how the income is being proportioned in case of agricultural income, which is segregated as business income and the agricultural income. As I told that if any produce which can be sold in raw form, but there is a process which is carried on to make it more marketable. ठीक है, तो ऐसी कोई इनकम हमको मिलती है, ठीक है, तो हम उसको बिजनेस इनकम में और एग्रीकल्चर इनकम में डिवाइड करते हैं। तो उसके कुछ स्पेसिफिक रूल्स है, आइए देखते हैं उस रूल्स को। टू अंडरस्टैंड मोर, द रूल नंबर 7 विच इज इनकम फ्रॉम ग्रोइंग एंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ एनी प्रोडक्ट। एग्रीकल्चर इनकम, how it is being calculated, that is the market value of agricultural produce, and business income is how it is calculated, that the sale proceeds minus manufacturing expenses. So agriculture income को कैसे निकालते हैं, आप उस एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस की जो भी मार्केट वैल्यू होगी उसको आप कंसिडर करेंगे एज एन एग्रीकल्चर इनकम, एंड द बिजनेस इनकम, द सेल प्रोसीड, व्हाटएवर यू सेल सोल्ड इट आउट माइनस द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंसेस. As our in previous example which we talk about, the agricultural produce can be sold out in the raw form as well. ठीक है, तो ऐसा कोई केस निकल कर आता है, तो ऐसे केस में क्या करेंगे कि जो भी मार्केट वैल्यू होगी एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस की उसको हम कंसिडर करेंगे एज अ एग्रीकल्चर इनकम, एंड whatever the sale proceeds we earn from the sale of that produce, it shall be net off with the manufacturing expenses, and the balance, whatever is the income, we call it as a business income. So now let's move forward and see the another rule, which is rule 7A, which is income from growing and manufacturing of the rubber. Simple है इसमें, 35% business income and 65% is agricultural income. Rule 7B, income from growing and manufacturing of coffee, 25% is the business income and 75% is the agricultural income. Now let's move forward, see rule number 8, which is income from growing and manufacturing of the tea, 40% is the business income and 60% is the agricultural income. तो ये जो percentage है normally exam में it's not very famous in exams, तो इसमें question expected नहीं होता, but still just you keep this, you just try to remember these percentages. Now let's move forward and see the income from the farm building. As I told, the agricultural income also includes the income from the farm building. So what are the conditions in that to make the income as the agricultural income is that the building should be the immediate विंड सेटिंग, मतलब एग्रीकल्चर लैंड के इमीडिएट प्लेस में वो फार्म बिल्डिंग होनी चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं कि आपका एग्रीकल्चर लैंड जो है वो एक स्टेट में और आपकी जो फार्म बिल्डिंग है वो कोई दूसरी स्टेट में, ऐसा नहीं, वो आपके इमीडिएट लैंड के पास में होना चाहिए. रिसीवर ऑफ द लैंड, रिसीवर ऑफ द रेंट should require it as a dwelling house or as a store house. The receiver of the rent, whoever is receiving the rent, should require that farm building as the dwelling house or as a storehouse. Okay, income arise from the transfer of the agricultural land situated in urban areas cannot be classified as the agricultural income. Okay, it will be taxable as a capital gain. सो एग्रीकल्चर लैंड है, अगर वो अर्बन एरिया में सिचुएटेड है, देन इट विल बी कॉल्ड एज, इट विल नॉट बी क्लासिफाइड एज अ एग्रीकल्चर इनकम. और अर्बन लैंड, अर्बन एरिया किसको बोलते हैं, इसकी कुछ स्पेसिफिक क्राइटेरिया है, जिसमें अगर 2 किलोमीटर, 6 किलोमीटर और 8 किलोमीटर, आई थिंक यू जस्ट रिमेंबर इट बिकॉज आपने कैपिटल, आई होप यू हैव ऑलरेडी know the basics of the capital gain. So हम उसको डिटेल्ड में स्टडी करेंगे when we just talk about the capital gain. But for the moment, if any agricultural land, okay, is situated in the urban area and it is being transferred, then then it will not be classified as a agricultural income. Moving forward, income having the indirect connection with the land does not become agriculture income, like rural society selling on its behalf of its member. Okay, partial integration of agriculture income with the non-agriculture income. So it is applicable to individual HUF, AOP, BOI and artificial jurisdiction person only. not applicable to the company, firm, etc. So condition, so partial integration एक rule है which we will see how it will work. But for the moment, you just remember it is applicable to individual HUF, AOP, BOI and the artificial juridical persons. So what are the conditions for this rule? That the net agricultural income should exceed 5,000 per annum and non-agriculture income should exceed basic exemption limit. So ये rule तभी apply होगा जब आपकी एग्रीकल्चर इनकम मस्ट एक्सीड ₹5,000 पर एनम एंड मतलब दोनों कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई करना है एंड द नॉन एग्रीकल्चर इनकम शुड एक्सीड बेसिक एग्जेम्पशन लिमिट जो कि इंडिविजुअल 2,50,000, सीनियर सिटीजन 3 लाख एंड सुपर सीनियर सिटीजन विच इज मोर देन 80 years or above 5 lakh rupees. So non agricultural income if exceeds the basic exemption limit. Now let's move forward and see the other exempt income. Previously we just talked about the partial integration with the agriculture with the non-agricultural income. So purpose is if your agricultural income exceed ₹5,000 per annum and your non-agricultural income exceeds your basic exemption limit 2,50,000 or 3 lakh or 5 lakh as the case may be. The purpose here of the partial integration is that the first your agricultural income is being included in your total income, then after that it will be deducted. मतलब एक तरह से deduction की तरीके से यहाँ पे काम करता है. Purpose क्या होता है कि sometimes just to आपका tax rate increase करने के लिए tax के benefit को थोड़ा सा reduce करने के लिए ये concept लेकर आए थे. But purpose यहाँ पे ठीक है आपको सिर्फ इतना ध्यान रखना है कि अगर आपकी नेट एग्रीकल्चर इनकम 5,000 से ऊपर है और योर नॉन एग्रीकल्चर इनकम इज एक्सीड्स योर 2,50,000 or 3 lakh or 5 lakh as the case may be, then this rule will be applicable. Now let's move forward and talk about the other exempt incomes like amount received by the member from the income of the HUF, share of income of the partners. So whatever the share of profit paid to the partners, these are called the exempt income because the partnership firm has already paid the taxes on those share income. Compensation received on account of disaster. If any compensation is received on account of any disaster like natural disaster, flood, earthquake, etc., then that compensation will be comes under your exempt income. Payment from the Sukanya Samriddhi account, pension received by the recipient of gallantry awards like Padma Bhushan, Paramveer Chakra, etc. So any pension received by the recipient, then it will be an exempt income. Now let's move forward and talk about one of the important topic in this chapter, which is the tax holiday for units established in the special economic zones. So special economic zones जो है it's a notified area by the government where the government encourage the business houses export houses primarily to establish their business houses in those economic zones. Okay, so eligible SSC means all categories of SSC. So it can be a individual or it can be a firm, LLP or a company. So all category of SSC engage in manufacturing of article or thing. So important is here is the manufacturing of article or thing or a provision of any services in the SCZ. So period का assessment year 2006-7 से लेकर till 21-22 तक. What are the different points important here is to know that is it should not form by splitting up of or reconstruction of the existing business, means it should be a new business, but there is one exception which is the revival under section 33B. Period of the plant and machinery should be new, means there cannot be a old plant and machinery. However, up to 20% of the total value can be old. So period of reduction is what 100% from the export profit till 5 years, 50% in the next 5 years. And up to 50% of the profit is as debited to the P&L account, in respect of which deduction is to be allowed or credited to the reserve account. So first 5 years is 100%, next 5 years is 50%, and the next 5 years is the conditional. Only 50% of the profit is allowed, which if you transfer to a special reserve account, means special economic zone reinvestment reserve account, and utilize in a manner which is laid down under section 10AA2 for the next 5 years. So now let's move forward and see the computation of the profit from exports. How the export profit will be calculated. First, profit of the units in the SEZ into export turnover of unit in SEZ divided by the total turnover of unit in the SEZ. Then we will come to know the profit from the exports. Export turnover does not include, it is important, like freight, telecommunication charges and insurance. These three will not form part of your export turnover. Important point here is on-site development of the computer software at client location abroad and receipts from the deputation of the technical manpower abroad for software development amounts to the deemed exports. Now let's move forward and just always remember this point, that the expenditure of exempt income will not be allowed as deduction. Okay, it is very important point. Rule 8D means the manner of determining the amount of expenditure in relation to the exempt income. For example, if you have any specific income, you have the one expenditure and you are not aware of the percentage how it is being expanded into the exempt income and the non-exempt income, means any SSC which is earning exempt as well as the taxable income, then and you have any common expenditure, so how you will split that particular expenditure. So how it will be calculated, then aggregate of expenditure directly relating to the exempt income, means how you will calculate the expenditure on exempt. First, expenditure directly relating to the exempt income plus 1% of the annual average of monthly average, means annual average of monthly average, मतलब हर महीने का एवरेज निकाल के फिर उसका एनुअल एवरेज निकालना है of opening and closing balance of the value of investment. Okay, so that is how you will calculate the expenditure on the exempt income. So in this way I will conclude my one of the non-famous chapter, I will say, in a direct taxation, which is income which do not form part of the total income. It's a long list, but I have covered the few important which is important from the exam perspective, primarily the exempt incomes. Primarily the agricultural income in exempt incomes, which are very important, which I have already I have already covered the important points. So in this way I have completed my discussion. In case you have any query or you have any feedback, please feel free to contact us. You can write us an email on our email ID, which is tarun298@gmail.com. You can also send us your query or feedback on our WhatsApp number, which is 9390667709. And you also we just encourage you to join our Facebook page, which is DT Insight, in which we will try to put the updates, or whenever we upload a lecture you can find it on our Facebook page as well. So in this way we have completed our this session. I just like to wish you all the very best for examination, and do follow us. We just try to put as much as we can, try to give our best, and we are just happy to answer all your queries in case you have any such. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.